greetings once again from Victoria. My name is Garnet Schulhauser, and I'm a level 2 QHHT practitioner and the author of 4 books in the spiritual genre: Dancing on a Stamp, Dancing Forever with Spirit, Dance of Heavenly Bliss, and Dance of Eternal Rapture, all of which books deal with my dialogue and subsequent astral travels with my spirit guide Albert. Before we get into today's topic, I'd like to pass along a bit of humor that I heard recently on the spirit side. It may surprise people to know that humor is very much alive and well on the spirit side, because the place is full of laughter, humor, and good-natured teasing. And spirits over there are not above telling corny jokes or even poking fun at each other's foibles in their past lives on earth. It's all in good fun, and they very much enjoy it. And no one ever takes offense at anything that's ever said on the spirit side. So here's a story I heard about Jesus Christ and his disciple Peter. It turns out that when Christ was nailed to the cross for his crucifixion, and he was hanging there on the cross, and Peter was standing nearby looking at his longtime friend and his mentor. And then Peter heard a feeble cry from Jesus, "Peter, Peter." Well, Peter knew that his Lord was calling him, and it was his duty to go and find out what Christ wanted. So he moved towards the foot of the cross and tried to get closer, but the Roman guards saw him and beat him back with clubs and sent him away. So Peter stood off to one side. Again, he looked up at the cross, and he heard Christ say, "Peter, Peter." Well, Peter had to try again, so he rushed towards the cross from another angle with his ladder, got the ladder placed against the cross, but before he could climb up, the guards noticed him and once again beat him back savagely with their clubs. Peter had to retreat. He stood back for a while and again looked up at the cross, and once again he heard Jesus say, "Peter, Peter." Well, Peter knew he had to try one more time. So he raced again towards the cross and clambered up the ladder and got to the top before the Roman guards could pull him back. He got his head right next to that of Christ and said, "My Lord, it's Peter, I am here." And Christ said, "Peter, Peter, I can see your house from up here." Anyway, so much for that little bit of humor. Now to a more serious topic, and it's a question I have heard many times over and over the last few years, and that is, does God control our destinies? Well, the short answer to that is no. God, or the source, does not control our destinies and does not manipulate the events in our lives. Now, this statement flies in the face of what Christian holy men have been preaching for centuries, because they believe that God is the grand manipulator, the grand puppeteer in the sky, who's always pulling strings to make things happen or not happen, depending on what he considers to be appropriate in his infinite wisdom. But this is not the case. In fact, it's basically 180 degrees from the truth. I was raised as a Roman Catholic, and in those days they taught me that God did indeed control everything that happens to us and everything that happens on our planet. And I had this vision of God being this old man with a long white beard sitting on a gold throne somewhere up in the sky, and that he was pulling strings and manipulating things to make things happen or not happen on our planet. And I was taught that if you wanted something good to happen in your life, you would pray to God for it to happen. So if you wanted to God to help you pass a final exam, or get a job, or get a promotion, or recover from an illness or surgery, you could pray to God, and if God thought it appropriate, he could make things happen for you. And of course, part of this was that if you paid appropriate homage to God, worship him in the manner prescribed by the religious holy men, that he would be much more favorably disposed to granting your wishes. On the other hand, if you were a bad dude and who ignored the religious tenements of your faith, didn't go to church, didn't worship God, he was much less likely to grant you any favors, and in fact, he might even make your life worse. So those are the conditions that I grew up with. And then one day, all these beliefs basically went out the window when I was encountered on the street by a homeless man named Albert, who turned out to be one of my spirit guides in disguise, a wise emissary from the spirit side. During my dialogue with Albert, he answered all the questions that I've been seeking all of my life. Questions like, who am I? Why am I here? What's my life's purpose? And most importantly, what happens when I die? The answers Albert gave me rang true to my heart, and I knew that what he was telling me was the absolute truth. According to Albert, and which information has been confirmed by the higher self in many QHHT sessions, the source created us and everything else in the universe as individual aspects of the source. He created us to go out to explore the universe, all the various planets and life forms contained in the universe, so that we could grow and evolve as souls. So we chose to come to this planet to have a human incarnation by our own free will. We chose this freely when we were on the spirit side before we were born. And before we were born, we prepared a life plan which set out the major aspects of the new life that we were proposing to live on Earth. Things like our names, the places that we'd be born, the first language we would learn, and the identity of our parents, siblings, friends, relatives, and other important people in our lives. And we did this with a view to encounter the challenges and learn the lessons that we felt we would need to grow and evolve as souls. But our life plans do not determine everything that happens in our lives. Our lives are not predetermined or etched in stone. And that is because when we're on Earth, we forget that we have a life plan and we have free will to take actions and make decisions just like everyone else on the planet. And because of that, we will often stray off course and go off the road that we had intended for ourselves to follow before we were born. And so we sort of write the script for our lives as we journey through our lives on Earth. And how we react to things that happen to us, whether good or bad, determines the lessons that we will learn or not learn, and the obstacles that we will face, and is our decision based upon our reactions to them as to whether we overcome these challenges or whether we will pass them by, perhaps to face them in another life. And so we are the authors of our own movies, and we change the script as we go every day based upon the decisions we make and the actions we take as we journey through life. But the source does not interfere with our free will actions on this planet. The source is a passive observer who is content to let the universe unfold on its own without any interference. So if good things happen to you or calamities befall you, you should know that it's not the workings of the source, it's just the way things happen based upon the situation we put ourselves in during our pre-life planning and how we react to things on this journey as they happen to us. So we are the author of our own fortune or misfortune, and we can't blame or credit the source with any of those things that may happen to us, whether good or bad. The bottom line is that we are beings of energy who are on a never-ending trek to experience the wonders of the universe. This is a trek that has no finish line, and it is a trek to allow us to enjoy all that the source has created in the universe so that we can grow and evolve as souls. But always remember something that Albert told me over and over. He said, you should lighten up, laugh lots, and enjoy your journey, because you can never become lost or go wrong. No matter what happens during your journey, no matter what happens on Earth, you will always end up back to enjoy the splendor of the spirit side. Well, that's all for now, folks. Enjoy your journey and remember to keep on dancing.